I'm Evelyn, and I'm a geoholic.
Here we go.
Hey, bartender,
Makes me want to drink a beer. So I guess I'll do that.
You're ready to come to the right place.
About as good as it gets. Here's a 20 for the jukebox, crank it up, please. And here's another 50, run a tab for me. All that stew's not
There we go.
making, girl.
Let that kick in there.
Yeah, let it kick in there just a little bit. Welcome back to Geoholics, episode 235.
235.
Indeed. And man, we got a lot to catch up on. I feel like it's been a while, although we have to talk about last week and being at the Drone Deploy conference.
Yeah. That was a great day.
Amazing. Those guys did such an incredible job. We spent a day with them. I think it was like a 3-day event. Spent an entire day, kind of like the main day, interviewing, folks that were attending, and we got to interview the CEO and just great people all the way around.
Yeah, we cranked out 10 interviews.
That was a lot. That was a busy day.
Yeah.
But it was so well done. Like you and I go to a lot of conferences, and I think we were both shocked on how not because we doubted them, but how shocked
for a smaller event. It was like 400 people.
Yep, 400 people.
Right in town at the Camelback Inn or Camelback Resort there.
Beautiful setting.
But I mean, just the professionalism of this was, I was
legit.
Very impressed.
Absolutely. And everybody we met from Drone Deploy was just so pleasant to talk to and so helpful. Yeah. And I just can't say enough. And you missed the After Dark event.
Oh yeah. How was that?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Did you wear your cowboy boots?
I did. Wore my cowboy boots. And they were giving away Drone Deploy cowboy hats. Like everybody got it.
Yes, that's cool.
Nuts. It was nuts. So long story short, first of all, if you don't know who Drone Deploy is, be sure to check out their website. And if you haven't been to their conference, do not miss it next year.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, the amount of potential clients, even for consultants like us, man, there was a lot of good people there. And it was straight to the people that actually use this stuff and everyone had a story about it, and we're super pumped about all the new stuff they were talking about.
Yep. And it was right in our backyard. It was perfect.
It was so awesome.
Perfect. So what's new with you, man?
Same old.
Suns game last night.
Home opener.
Nice seats.
Home opener had some good seats. The energy was awesome. So that was a lot of fun last night. Same old, getting ready for Halloween coming up.
Yeah.
And just starting to wind down the work activities to the end of the year, do the end of year, beginning of the year planning kind of stuff. Yep. And I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of a breather.
After Dimensions.
We got 2 more weeks and then conference season is done. Other than that, everything's good. Today the weather changed here.
So nice.
And of course it was 100 one day and then it's 75 the next. We completely skipped by the 80s, but
we skipped fall.
We skipped fall.
We're in winter.
We went straight to winter. But winter here is phenomenal.
Having
the door
time of the year
is great. What's new with you, man?
What's new with me? Spent a long weekend up in Pine this past weekend. Had a up close and personal interaction with one of the resident elks.
Yeah, I sent
you that video. Yeah. The guy, I could hear him rustling around outside our house, right? And I peek around the corner and here he is, nibbling on our tree. And I see he's got like this, I don't know what it was, wrapped all around his antlers.
It was like some trash or something?
No, it looked like a dog leash, like one of those really long dog leashes,
Right.
And it's like he came right up to the fence, and it didn't help that we were feeding him carrots. But he came up to the fence, and I'm petting him on the nose. You saw it. I sent you the video. I'm petting him on the nose, and I'm like trying to help him. Like it's like he wanted us to help him. It was the craziest
Animals
thing.
are weird like that. Right?
Craziest thing. But man, oh man, So
did you get that?
I got like half of it off, and then he started like doing one of those things, and he hit my phone. He got me right here in the wrist. So I was like, I probably should back off.
It's a little close for a 1,000-pound animal.
He doesn't
whatever
know how strong he is. And neither do I. So, all right, let's move on. Next up, we have the NLC Prep Song of the Week. Very fitting for this evening.
That's right.
NLC Prep is for those dedicated to passing their land surveying exam the very first try. To find out more, go to nlcprep.com. What do you got this week, Sean?
New artist to the playlist.
And I like it.
Yeah, that was let's call it a group, a person called Zach Top. Song is Cold Beer and Country Music. I'm going to try to do this without getting Southern twang in when I say it.
Good luck.
Zach Top is a rising country musician known for his throwback sound inspired by 90s country legends like George Strait, Keith Whitley, and Randy Travis. Zach began performing at just 7 years old, performing a bluegrass band with his siblings, and later joining the award-winning bluegrass group Modern Tradition. His passion eventually led him to Nashville in 2021, where he signed with Major Bob Music, quickly establishing himself as a promising new talent.
Yep, and I love when our guests introduce us to new music.
Oh yeah, it always ends up on my playlist, and usually find the artist and save a couple albums, and for that next week or so, that's what's playing.
And when you say your playlist, you obviously mean the Geoholics playlist, on Spotify that has every song from every episode in chronological order.
Yes.
Pushing like 15 hours of music at this point.
I mean, does not get any more eclectic than this playlist.
Does not.
And it's just so organic is what I like about it.
It's awesome. And it's one of those things that if you haven't liked or subscribed or whatever and you're on Spotify, please be sure to do so because there's tons of good music there.
Absolutely.
We are in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studio this week.
We are.
Diamondback Land Surveying provides complete surveying, mapping, and construction staking solutions for residential, commercial, and public works projects. DBLS, as they like to be called, is a firm made up of highly skilled professional land surveyors with over 200 years of experience in the public land survey system and construction surveying. Excuse me. Their survey team takes great pride in being professionals in all aspects of their work and emphasize on-time service and maintains an excellent reputation in the construction and development communities. To find out more, go to diamondbacklandsurveying.com. And I saw on LinkedIn that TK just made a very strategic hire. He hired a new business development person.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away.
What are we waiting for?
I don't know. Probably because I can't remember his name. But either way, good for TK.
Good for TK.
All right. Next up, we have the GeoMax Weekly Service Pro Tip. To find out more about GeoMax, go to geomax-positioning.com. Mr. Producer, what do you got?
This week, I like this. We were talking about something similar today at the office. So here we go. If you make a sale, you can make a living. If you make an investment of time and good service in a customer, you can make a fortune. That was Jim Rohn, American entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. It's not just a sale.
Do you remember
a little more to that?
Do you remember Jim Rome?
Oh yeah,
the sports guy.
Oh yeah,
and the Chris Everett thing.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
when he kept calling him Chris.
Yep. And
then they jumped out at him.
And he went across the table.
Yeah,
I just saw that highlight or that replay here this past week for some reason. So funny. Okay, moving on. Next up, we have the GeoSearch Career Corner. To find out more about GeoSearch, go to geosearch.com. I'll start this one out, and we'll just play tag team here a little bit. Okay.
Sure.
Their client is currently seeking, I should have let you do this one, a topobathymetric LiDAR geospatial analyst. 3. Didn't know there was such a thing.
didn't know there was 3 levels of it.
In their Fairfax, Virginia, or Tampa, Florida offices. This position can also be fully remote within the U.S. for the right candidate.
The position requires experience in analysis and review of elevation data, vector data, both 2D and 3D, digital elevation models, digital surface models, and elevation-derived hydrography.
Yep. Strong candidates will also have good conceptual understanding of fundamental remote sensing concepts and geospatial processes for various products. To find out more, visit geosearch.com. And as always, happy mapping. Yep. Good stuff. All right. Time to get into this. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Our guest this week is, of course, presented by Airworks. Airworks' mission is to provide the data intelligence that powers the built world. To find out more, go to airworks.io. This week we have Dr. We're gonna make this much less formal, but this is a formal part of the introduction.
Yep.
Dr. Just read the very one sentence. No one needs my introduction. Don't waste your time.
Dr. C.A., a.k.a. Tony Nettleman III, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, Tony's been on here. This is his third time, I think, actually. Yeah. This is a big one here. You got a Bachelor of Science in Land Surveying Engineering. We got to set the credentials here is what we're doing. New Mexico State University, Master of Science in Geospatial Surveying Engineering from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, Juris Doctor, Florida International University, and Doctorate of Philosophy in Geomatics, University of Florida. He is currently the president and owner of Nettleman Land Consultants, Inc., and director and trustee of the Nettleman Institute of Surveying Engineering Technology. His passion, of course, is teaching, promoting the profession, helping property owners and surveyors deal with complex disputes. Tony, welcome back to the Geoholics.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, we are honored, and it's our pleasure to have you back, and looking forward to catching up with you because it's been a bit since you've been on. I think the last time you were on, I looked today, was episode 129.
Wow.
Yes. A couple of years ago, as a matter of fact.
That is several episodes ago.
Yeah, no doubt. So before we get into it, of course, we have to do the Trimble Geospatial Icebreaker. To find out more about Trimble Geospatial, simply go to geospatial.trimble.com. They are dedicated to big thinking innovation. I'm going to stop right there. Here's the question this week. Tony, if you could time travel, would you rather go backward or forward, and why?
I think I'd like to go backwards in time. So I really enjoy history. I like, different time periods and different cultures. And, it's much more interesting. And plus, I think, I don't know how things are going. Is it evolution or de-evolution or something like that? But I think I'd rather go backwards.
I kind of agree with you.
Yeah. What is the backwards of evolution? Is that de-evolution or something else?
I think that's devolving.
Re-evolution? I don't know. That's a great question. Devolving. I think you're right. Right. Yeah.
What do you think I'm going to say?
I think it changes for people.
Oh, I am 1,000% forward.
1,000% forward.
1,000% forward.
No kidding.
I am not one of those people that think that we have peaked as a species and everything was better before. I think it is more awesome every single day. And in 100 years, I just cannot. I would much rather see where we're at in 100 years than 100 years ago.
Yeah, I can't disagree, but I think
I just don't have this dystopian vision that the Terminator movies and we're all just controlled by robots. I think that the robots are going to be doing so much cool shit that we would be blown away of how amazing it is.
I agree.
But that's just my optimism.
Yeah, yes, you the eternal optimist over here. I would normally, I think in the past when we've had this question, I probably said forward. But after, in the last year or so, finding out that I have a half brother, I'd kind of like to know what my dad was doing back then and how this all happened.
But you don't want to know you don't want to see what your soon to be grandchild is going to be doing
that's a tough one.
That time.
I
wouldn't that be cooler?
Ultimately, probably yes. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, I really don't want to know what happened.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
But
that's
all
fair.
Good stuff. All right. Let's get to know Tony a little bit more. So Tony, of course, as most of our listeners probably know, he is an expert witness, an educator, an author, and a speaker. So Tony, I got to ask you, talk a little about each of the different things that I just mentioned and what is rewarding for you with each of them.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, the two things that I primarily do, day to day is the solving property disputes in the expert witness. We call it a profit center. And then, building educational content for surveyors at the NLC Prep Profit Center. And, I really enjoy the expert witness work because it's so diverse. It's hard to even, keep track of things sometimes because you've got a riparian dispute in Louisiana. You've got a oil and gas ranch dispute in West Texas. You've got a, Indian tribal versus the feds versus the state in North Dakota. You've got a condominium issue in Rhode Island. It's just four things I worked on in the past few weeks. So it's very, very, diverse. And there's so much, I like history and there's so much research. I was reading a order from President U.S. Grant setting the new boundaries of the Indian reservation. I mean, where do you get that stuff? It's crazy.
That's awesome.
One of the clients wanted like the research to be done in a few weeks. And I was like, let me tell you kind of how this works. The attorneys are very like to the point, like, let's just get it over with and move on. Yeah. Well, I want to get it over with too, believe me, but it happens in like a few months. You also want to tell the story, right? Years. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want to have the facts before you make your opinion, that's important. So yeah, it's very diverse.
You ever get on the stand and just like, they ask you a question, you're like, all right, well, it actually started back in the 1700s, and then go back to the beginning.
Well, it's wild that, this condo dispute on an island started, the land title records start where the Benedict Arnold's father purchased the island from the Indian tribe for like, 3 beads and a, bottle of whiskey. And, and they want to know the boundaries of the island. Well, you got to start back at the original. It has a legal description, so you got to start from the very beginning. And what's funny is, the client in this case, he's been dealing with this for like 15 years. So he knows everything. Like he'll tell you all about every, minute detail of every legal description in the entire, 200, 300 year history. So it's fun. So yeah, the expert witness work is really diverse. It's interesting, a lot of history, a lot of research. So, and I hate to travel. That's the absolute worst part about the business. But when you get there, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I bet. It's something different all the time. That's the cool thing.
It is. It's very different. And, the prep side, I really enjoy meeting all the students. Like I went to TSPS in Houston last week, and I saw like a dozen of my students who'd passed their exams. That's awesome. And they were actually students of mine from A&M Corpus Christi when I was a professor. And then they took the prep material and then they got licensed. And it's been a little while. So some of them are project managers, have their own business. So they've done, really exceptionally well for themselves, with their license. So it's very rewarding to meet all the students, to get to know them, and how the prep material kind of, spring launched their little, career and got them started.
So what inspired you to start NLC Prep?
So I went to law school at Florida International University in Miami. And as part of the law school program, your last semester, you have to pay $1,000 to the university. And that gets you any law school prep course you want. Like they have a whole bunch of vendors. There's a student representative. You walk up, I want a Kaplan course. I want a Princeton review. Like there's no money exchange. The law school, you must pay for this prep course. So I spent months doing this law school prep course to pass my bar exam. And it was crazy, the amount of information. I mean, just thousands of hours, huge, like a dozen huge books. I mean, it was an intense course and it worked. I mean, I think I took the Kaplan course maybe, and it was so good. Like I went to the bar exam in Tampa and there's like thousands of people and they're all like freaking out. They're crying. They're drinking, alcohol. They're taking pills. They're doing everything they can to make it through.
Sounds like a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just wild. Parents are like cajoling their 25-year-old children while they're crying in the parking lot. I mean, it's just wild, and there's so many people, it's this huge convention center where you take this exam and it's just folding chairs on picnic tables. I mean, that's all you get.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember walking in and the security guard's like, "Good luck, sir." And I was like, "I don't need luck. I got this. Like, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be fine." Because I took the Kaplan course and they covered everything in like awful detail. I mean, it was just excruciatingly minute detail for everything. And I thought, I passed my FS like 5 or 6 years ago. I went to like a live course. It was okay. It was good. It was decent. I had no material for the PS myself. I just read a bunch of books and I didn't know what to expect. I just went in there and, whatever happens, I guess. But I was like, why can't there be like this amazing Kaplan review course for surveyors? It's just weird that there is no prep course for surveyors. And I said, I'm just going to make it. And if anybody likes it, that's great. If nobody likes it, I guess I'll just, fold up and who cares? I had so many students at A&M Corpus who were like, well, how do I pass this exam? What do I do? What do I expect? What is this? No one had even told them how to get a surveyor's license. What are the exams? What is the experience? Nothing. They just graduated and went off into the universe, and I hope they figure it out on their own because there's no one else to help them. So they started taking the course, and they got, very good results. So I just kept on building and kept on building. And, it's certainly much better today than it was 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So you started 5 years ago?
Believe it or not, I think it was in like maybe 2016 or 2017, something like that. So it's been, maybe 8 years already.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. And it's gone through so many iterations. I mean, I started off with just a lot of lecture materials from the college courses, and then refined it and refined it and refined it. And every time the exam changes, so do we. So it gets completely redone. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done is launching a new online course because there's just so many moving parts to it. But, we redid the FS earlier this year, and it was worth it, for sure. It's just, it's a lot of work to build one of these courses.
So you talked about the evolution a little bit there. You touched on it. So on that note, where is it at today? I mean, I know it's a tremendous resource and a lot of people have had amazing success, but you provide resources and classes, I guess, for the FS, the PS, and even the state-specific exams. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. We really focus on the two national exams, the fundamentals and the principles and practice, because that's what everyone really needs. And, we used to offer a Texas and a California, but I took it offline because I wasn't happy with, the complete set of content. So I've just been slowly adding courses as I've taken it. Like, I took my Virginia exam, and it was a really grueling state-specific. It was an engineering exam, basically, with a few surveying questions. It was like, calculate the rainfall at a shopping mall. And I was like, okay, should I just kill myself now, or, we're going to actually finish this exam? I brought in, I think, 8 binders with like 8,000 pages, 9,000, and you used it. Like, you had to find all this stuff during the exam. So what I've been doing is I've been taking the exam, building everything I want for myself, taking the exam, seeing what I think about it, updating the content. Just like, if I knew everything I knew now, what would I do? And then launching the state specific. It's so weird. Like, every exam is so different. Alabama is different than Wyoming, is different from Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And it's like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, is this really helping anybody?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I don't really see the benefit as much. I mean, I get it. Everyone's different.
Everything. Well, I mean, each state has different statutes. So
I understand that. But to the extent of putting somebody through an engineering exam just for the privilege of, I
think it's more like a status symbol. Like, let me abuse you as much as we can.
Yeah.
So that we can make sure that you really remember this one.
So I got to ask you, what state is the biggest pain in the ass? What state has the highest status of
in the lowest pass rate?
In the lowest pass rate,
it has to be California. California has like a 7% pass rate or like a 10% pass rate, and the questions they ask are beyond PhD level. They're like unsolvable. I had one question about a satellite constellation or something, and there was no right answer. Like, do you want like all your satellites dispersed? Well, yeah, but what if they're a little more dispersed and they're higher elevation? Or like, I was like, there's no right or wrong answer for this. And they do this, for the sole purpose of getting a 9% pass rate. There's no, and here's the thing, in California, you don't need a bachelor's degree or an associate's. You can just like go in there and try your luck. Well, people have tried their luck like 25 times in a row and never passed it. That's why there's such a 9% pass rate. But it was beyond PhD level questions. It was crazy.
I mean, what's the benefit of that?
I was just going to say, how does that benefit the profession? It doesn't, right?
I mean, it makes you
counterproductive.
It makes you think that it's, I mean, maybe the state thinks that they are really only having the best of the best and weeding out all the ones that shouldn't be, but
it's great. But it's
There's
like,
a fine line there.
let's have a little fun here. Let's write these like crazy questions and see if these people
just see these people squirm.
They've got you on videotape and they're like, oh man, this is going to be a good one. I can't wait to watch this guy pass out.
How are these classes structured, Tony? Is it like a subscription base? Is it a per class type thing? How does it work for people that are, needing assistance with these different exams?
And do you guarantee all passing results?
Yes, we guarantee. Yes, if you don't pass, you'll get more instruction. We have a guarantee where
you'll get more homework to do if you don't pass.
Yeah. And so what we've done for years is like you purchase the course, you get a year subscription. Like you purchase a course, you get a year. And what we realized is, a lot of younger people don't have the money up front, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think they can do it a lot faster than they probably will. So we introduced monthly subscriptions earlier this year, like the first of the year. And it's been a huge hit. People really like the monthly subscriptions. So you can get a monthly course subscription. You can buy it for the year and save some money. Or you can buy a full combo where you get the course, you get a practice exam, you get your statutes if it's state specific. Mm-hmm. You also get an HP 35 calculator if you need it.
Wow.
So I built it so it's a complete combo. So everything you need, you just buy it. There's no questions. There's no hassle. Yep. Like you need it, you buy it, you have everything, So everything is meant to work together.
This portion of the program is sponsored by Esri. Esri is the global market leader in geographic information system software, location intelligence, and mapping. Since 1969, they have supported customers with geographic science and geospatial analytics, what they call the science of where. I love that. They take a geographic approach to problem solving, brought to life by modern enterprise-grade GIS technology. Hidden patterns, trends, and relationships emerge when you visualize and analyze data on a map. This location intelligence provides unique insights that empower real-time understanding and transform decision-making. Powerful stuff right there. Beyond sophisticated maps and advanced geospatial analytics, Esri technology enables faster data sharing and more fluid collaboration. They make the world's most powerful GIS software, hands down. To find out more, visit Esri.com. Expand on the calculator, I think, because I think I read that not only do you just get a calculator, but it's like pre-programmed, right?
Yes. Yep. It has all the surveying programs, COGO, curves, basically whatever programs you need for your FS and PS exams, it will have it. And there are some exams like, Rhode Island, where you'd never use a pre-programmed calculator. But there are other exams like California where you have to have it. The horizontal, vertical curves, the earthwork, the area, you've got to have that. I don't know how I passed California, frankly. And if I didn't have my pre-programmed calculator, I would be in a lot of trouble. And I've taken a few exams recently where I forgot my calculator. And let's just say bad things, bad things happen.
Bad things result. Right. That's so funny. And one thing I want to mention, also, if you go to the Geoholics Marketplace, NLC Prep is there and a link to all this information.
Hey, way to work in the marketplace.
Yeah.
There.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Not just a pretty face over here.
Yeah.
So how do you keep up with the changes? As the different exams change, how do you incorporate those changes into, your resources that you're providing?
Well, the first thing is if the exam changes and I'm not 100% confident, I'll take the course offline. Like Texas changed a year ago. We took the Texas course offline. Now, after talking to some students, really nothing changed. They made a new name for it and they kind of rearranged some stuff. But so that's coming back online soon. But, the first thing is, we don't ask students for questions. We don't send people to take exams. We don't have to. Like if they give us a blueprint, we can read the blueprint from NCEES and make a pretty educated guess. Like no one's hiding the content from you. So we go through and we basically build the course from the published blueprint. So if it says, ASCE standards. We go find the ASCE standards, use a little, what do you call it? Induction, deduction, whatever, to figure out what we think that means. And then we build a module. And we're always building new stuff. Like, we don't do like a giant course update and everything's new. If we get some feedback and a student says, man, I really got my butt kicked because I wish your course would have had X. Well, we have a recording studio, audio, video. We have an audio booth. We have a couple of different sets. I just go down to the recording studio and record a video on X. And, typically we have a few students who'll give us the same feedback. We'll add that to the course.
Yeah. So it's almost like a supplement, right?
Yes. Yeah. We supplement all the time,
Okay.
And it could be as something as simple as like a YouTube video, like a 5-minute YouTube video, or we'll post it on YouTube and we'll put it in the course if it's a minor supplement, or we'll make a whole new lecture video and add it to the course module if it's a kind of a major update. So we're always supplementing new material based on student reviews and student feedback, and just looking at the blueprint and thinking, what does the test company expect us to know, and what are we covering? And I got to the point last year where I got smart and I mapped out every single word on the NCSS blueprint to every single course and module in our content. So I know for a fact that
it covers
every
everything.
word is covered. Like, yep. So it's very detailed, and we're always adding stuff because I like recording stuff. I like teaching. So I don't mind adding more stuff.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, that's how we do it. And it's just wild that a lot of states, they don't have a blueprint. Like the Rhode Island, it said, bring this material. It's like 4,000 pages. Well, I can guarantee you, if I would have known what was on that exam, I would have brought a lot more stuff that was absolutely never mentioned on their little, guidelines. And they say at the end, this is not a comprehensive list. That's an understatement.
Yeah, right. So how did these things change over time? Is it mainly like the changes in technology, or is it they had too many people passing, so they have to make it harder and control the pass rate?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of states, it does not change. Like the regulations in West Virginia were written by a guy named Henry Sipe. He was a master's educated Yale forester who went to West Virginia. Like this will happen once in a lifetime, or probably once in like a millennia. So he wrote the board regulations, and I think he wrote the exam. And I would not be surprised if the West Virginia exam is quite similar to that from the 1960s.
Wow.
They still use magnetic declination for property surveys in that's required. You must use a magnetic declination for property surveys in West Virginia. It's pretty, I have a lot of old surveying equipment, so it's pretty cool, but, but NCSS has a real system. They have, several committees, the content goes to one, the subject matter goes to one committee, then the technical content, then the exam questions. So NCSS is in the business of writing exams. They do a great job. State specific, now that's a whole nother story. Like in Texas, when there was a land surveying only board, they would write the questions and then they would give the questions to the students, and then they would decide if the questions were valid. Now, it was some crazy exams, like, stuff diagrams that were really confusing, questions that could have had 3 different answers. They'd triple key an answer so 3 out of 5 was the correct answer, crazy. So state specific and national exams, there's a very different system.
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, this crazy memory popped into my head. I was in a fraternity in college, right?
We know.
And there was file cabinets of folders from all the different classes where people would take their projects and stick them in there, and copies of exams and stick them in there and stuff like that. Yeah. So the next next generation coming through can go to that file cabinet, pull out the resources, whatever. So I'm thinking Tony's probably got a file cabinet of all the exams from all the states that he's just pulling out. And if you're part of the Tony fraternity, you get a copy of that stuff.
I have so many different resources for these exams. My memory has lost like 90% of it. It's just crazy. I've got 6 terabytes of information. It's just incredible. And what makes me crazy is if you don't take the exam, you have no idea what's going to be on it because no one tells you, like, is this a game of like, hide the ball? Why not just tell people what's on the exam? I'll study it. And then I'll go take it and prove I know what I'm doing, as opposed to showing up and looking like a complete idiot and then gathering the real resources I should have brought with me because no one told me, and then going and taking it again. Yep. So, we're trying to provide like real world practice exams for all the states. And I need to find more people to help me because I'm not going to probably live long enough to get 50 states together. But it's just so interesting, like how diverse the content is. Like some states are all legal. Some states are a nice mix of legal and subdivision and board rules. Sure. Some states are 98% engineering. I'm not an engineer. I don't really like engineering. So, it's like, how could every state be so different?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Why?
Well, that's also the beauty part of it. You got this mixed bag of the most eclectic group of states ever, everyone's got a different perspective and we all just lightly coexist and everyone loves each other.
There you go.
True.
Oh, mercy. So I'm curious, does artificial intelligence play a role in any of the content created or anything like that? I read something the other day where like ChatGPT is now smarter than, I don't know, 5 doctorate degrees or something like that. It's insane.
Sometimes ChatGPT can be so great and sometimes it could be so stupid. I purchased Copilot, which is the Microsoft AI in Word for like $30 a month. So I have it like, take a sentence and expand on it sometimes or, explain, something. But what's really crazy is that ChatGPT and Copilot will lie to you and tell you just complete bullshit. I asked ChatGPT, how many certificates of authorization is a Rhode Island land surveyor allowed to have? And it said just 1 because it wants to protect, one business to one, surveyor, whatever. Very nice explanation. Totally untrue. It's 2. So to answer your question, no, AI does not really play any kind of role because I don't really trust it. And I really prefer building stuff directly from the textbooks or some other kind of like known source. Because I don't trust AI or ChatGPT or Copilot. They're helpful in some instances, but it's like, we have Google Gemini, which is the Google, AI for our workspace. And it's like, it can summarize your emails for you. But how it writes and how I write is 100% different. Like it, greetings and salutations, wife. Can we please, budget $3,000 for X?
That's how I should be like writing like birthday cards. Is just punch it into ChatGPT and just put it right in there.
Do it.
I have a new hire. His name is Scott, but I have 2 other Scotts that work for us as well. So I've renamed him Assistant. So he's my AI, assistant. I need a hotel room in Bismarck, North Dakota. So
that's funny.
I don't think AI is going to take his job anytime soon.
Yeah. What about on the other side of your business? So on the, the land consultant side, do you find it to be a useful tool on that side of things for research and stuff?
To answer your question, no, because the Chat GPT and other AI, large language models, they don't have these resources. Like if I wish I could take my entire surveying library and put it into my own chatbot because I have every textbook as a PDF. And I've tried services like Aerotos and other, AI, help services, but I'm really leery of anyone outside the company working with our stuff and then we certify it. Like, it says direct responsible charge. Well, that means like you pick the payload, you pick the drone, and I usually, I do pretty much the field work with somebody else. I've learned to have helpers like another PLS or SIT or technicians or whatever. That's fine. But I like having my fingers in, everything from start to the finish. Mm-hmm. And, I'm willing to give subordinates enough room to grow and enough room to do their work. But I also like to check everything too. So it's difficult to outsource things to like Aerotas when I don't know, like, who's the technician, what's the computer, what software are they using, how much was AI and how much is human interaction, all these questions, because, I deal with mistakes every day where people are being sued for millions of dollars.
Yep.
And I really, really do my best to do the job, 110% every time. Not perfect, but I strive to do it perfectly every time. And when I don't have a complete control over everything, it's difficult to, prove that.
Well, I'm guessing you can't be on the witness stand as an expert witness and say, well, ChatGPT said the boundary should have been over here, so we're just going to roll with it.
You mean that's not going to fly?
No, I think that's probably what got you in that position to begin with.
A Florida lawyer wrote a pleading using ChatGPT, and all the cases were fake. And they really should lose their license. They should have taken away from day one. Because I'm sure it was some young, new attorney who's like, oh, this is so cool. And what they were super busy. They didn't have time to write it, and there was a deadline. And they were like, write me a brief on, promissory estoppel and cite 10 cases. Well, all 10 cases are fake. And
they cited them. They just don't exist.
That's called a fraud on the court. And it's really, it can land you in jail.
Mm-hmm. Well, it should.
Yeah, it's dangerous. But I would love to get my own AI chatbot because I have a really nice workstation I just built a few months ago. It could do anything. And the motherboard was built to run artificial intelligence models. So I'm sure I could make a little local AI chatbot. But is it legal to dump in all my textbooks? I have the copyright. Like, I bought a copy. It's legal.
Interesting.
But
I don't know. If you used it, if it was a part of NLC prep and you could just ask the bot a question,
pay to get access to it.
And it's within your website, then
I'd love that.
That's one thing. And it's a pay, that's one of the add-ons for when you buy a course. You also get the bot to ask questions.
I think
that's
it'd
a great
be amazing,
idea.
actually.
And one of our web developers suggested adding a chat bot to our website. Well, I went to play with a competitor's website for prep materials, and they had a chat bot, and it made me want to kill somebody. It's like, I want to purchase a course. Hello, Tony Nettleman. Welcome. And I asked him like 5
pick one of
questions.
the first three options.
Yeah,
and you're like,
exactly.
None of those.
I bought a course from them, and I was like, I'm having problems with this course logging in. And it's like, greetings, Tony Nettleman. How was your day? And I was like, we are absolutely not installing any type of chatbot on this website. Like, we're not those people that we're putting you through this.
I had a couple questions about that, about the web or the NLC prep and kind of going into, I was curious because you mentioned, some of the young people, like what's the general demographic of the people that are signing on and getting courses? Is it the old guys or the young guys?
Young guys, pretty much. There's two groups of people. There's the young people getting their license when they're, just starting a career, just graduating college. That's the majority. And we've had quite a few like older technicians who've been working in the field or in the office for decades. And they're like, why didn't I get licensed 30 years ago? Because I could have made double the money. But mostly it's 25 to 44 guys getting licensed. That's primarily the demographic.
And I always tell people the best time to do it is when you're in test taking mode. Like every year you leave college or high school or whatever, it gets harder and harder because I could not imagine you trying to take an exam tomorrow.
Me neither.
It just seems like the last thing I possibly want to do.
No,
that's true. Yeah. And, it's good to, have a plan. Like, I want to get an associate's degree. I want to take my exams. I want to get a PLS. and work for myself or have a big company or whatever you want to do, have a plan. A lot of the technicians I've met really had no plans. Like my brother-in-law introduced me to surveying 35 years ago when I hacked line for 20 years. And now I'm too old. I got arthritis in my elbows, so I can't hack line. So I'm learning AutoCAD or something. But, you have to have a, positive plan. You can't just let life kind of take you where it takes you, and then you end up wherever life puts you at the end. So, sit down and make a 3-step plan. I'm going to get my associates in 2 years. I'm going to pass my FS the next year, the PS the year after, get my license the third year, and then I'll be a PLS by 2035, whatever it is.
Yep.
And a lot of people have a hard time imagining themselves 10 years from now, but you have to, because otherwise you'll just be in the same job, doing the same thing with the same, people. Right. And it's going to get really boring.
Yeah, I am dying to get your opinion on something. I touched on it just a little bit earlier. And this drives me insane. Like every state has different requirements to become a licensed surveyor. Some states require a 4-year degree. Some states are okay with a 2-year degree plus experience. Some states like Arizona, you don't need to have a degree. It's just based on experience. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is it possible in your mind that we could just have one requirement as far as that goes across the board, or are we never going to get to that point?
I don't think the states will ever relinquish enough control to do that. As they all want to have their same administrators. They all want to have their same state agency. It's a mine is better than yours argument. I asked Paul Kwan years ago in Texas at the Texas board, why don't Texans have an FS, a PS, and a state specific? You're the only state in the entire country that doesn't have these 3 steps. He said, Texas is different. And that was the end of the conversation. Well, guess what? They shut down the LS board. They brought in the engineering board, and they brought FS, PS, state specific. Duh. Is this like rocket science here?
Right.
And when I hired my assistant, Scott, his first job was to make a spreadsheet of all my licenses and tell me what I have to do to keep them.
Yep.
Annual, biannual, every 3 years. Some states require 2 hours of ethics. Some states require 1 hour of state specific, whatever. It's so stupid. Why are we doing this? This spreadsheet is like a quantum physics project. I mean, I can't even keep track of it. And
well, so sure, every month you're renewing a new license, right?
Yeah. And he was like, how is this possible? How could this be, 2024? It's like a, PhD dissertation to keep track of a stupid license.
Yep.
And every NCAAS has a model rule that says you get 15 hours every year, whatever you want. Okay. Well, let's all just adopt the 15 hours a year. You're not going to be a better surveyor if you took 2 hours of ethics. If you're an unethical person, that's not going to help you. So, why does some states like New Mexico, the middle of nowhere, have a 4-year surveying degree, while states like California have no degree requirements?
It's crazy.
So it is stupid. And I have no idea how to fix it because the state boards, it's their way. They know better than all 49 other states. So if you want to be a Rhode Island surveyor, you got to have so many hours, and only 10 hours carry over per, biennium, or is this really helpful to anybody?
Great question.
I don't think it's helpful for anybody.
No. It's
other than for that own state to be able to say that, yes, we make our rules and this is state specific. It's not, I don't get it either.
And my suggestion is have a rule where if you're out of state, it's the out of state rule says for every out of state surveyor, if you meet your home state requirements, that will automatically suffice for this state as well. So if you live in Texas, you do your Texas requirements. It's reciprocity for the other 49 states. What's the issue here?
This portion of the program brought to you by Cyanic Automation. I'm so glad to have these guys back. Cyanic Automation is a boutique software development house based in Canada. Y'all know how much I love people from Canada. Mike and Doug, love these guys. Met at Matricon in 2003 and worked on many projects for high-profile Fortune 100 companies. Mike saw a large market of SMEs that also needed to automate their processes, but at the same time was not being served. From this need emerged Cyanic Automation with the goal to improve human productivity and fulfillment at work via automation. Their enthusiastic, devoted, and highly skilled team works to deliver exceptional custom software solutions to small to medium-sized businesses. They have long-term relationships with companies in various sectors: government, oil and gas, finance, charities, nonprofits, construction, engineering, manufacturing, and many more. This is a result of their deep understanding of customers, businesses, and commitment to quality. Each project is of the highest importance, and every customer is unique in their eyes. To find out more, visit Cyanic with a C, automation.com.
Does NCSS have something like that for surveyors where you can be basically licensed under NCD? Because I do that for engineering,
for all the records and everything.
Yeah, well, you basically pre-qualify yourself. So instead of you don't have to start from scratch when you go to another state. You just push the button and it sends it. And
let me tell you about that. So this is a funny story. So yes, they do. They have the record where you can transmit the record, whatever. But your references are only good for 12 months. Well, how many licenses you get per year? Like one, maybe. I get 2 licenses a year and I'm done. This Rhode Island, my last license, I'm finished. This is it. Someone else in the office can get their other 30 whatever states. But I sent my record. I paid the $80, sent my record to Georgia because I wanted to get my Georgia LS license. And Georgia said, okay, fill this form out. Well, what was on the form? Name, education, experience, reference. Right. And I said, I just sent you all this stuff. Well, we do accept it. We don't use it for anything. And I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You accept the NCSS record. I paid a fee to you. I paid a fee to NCSS and you will accept it, but you will not use it for any purpose. Is that what you're saying? So I got NSPS, NCSS, and the Georgia Administrator Board on this email chain. And I was like, are you kidding me? And NCSS just said, well, there may be some improvements to make at the Georgia process. We have no control over it or some,
you think?
I think it was written by Kamala Harris. I'm from a middle-class family. And I was like, okay, sure. And then that's helpful. So at the end, I just threw my hands up. I was like, I'm going to fill out a 40-page form. And every word that you asked for is on this. I just transferred. Right. You can't use it.
Yeah.
Just making this straight. Stuff. Just making sure we're on the same page here. And I was like, it is Georgia. And I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So I can say this, Georgia has the most backwards laws of any, you can't shoot a chicken after 12 PM or, who knows. But, I was like, this is the rules you made. You're going to accept this record, but you're not going to use it for any purpose. Okay.
Yeah. And you can't put a horse in the bathtub. Against the law. Exactly. You can't do that.
At least somebody finally came out and said it.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man. Hey, by the way, Election Day is 1 week from today.
It is 1 week
Get
from
out and
today.
vote.
By the time everyone vote.
Get out and vote.
Vote soon and vote often.
That's only in Chicago. So, Tony, I'm curious, what do you love about the land surveying profession and what drives you a little crazy about the land surveying profession?
So what I love most, I love the history. For a while, I hated the technology. I think it's expensive. I think it's overly engineered. But I got a Matrice 350 drone. I got a lot of new technology the past few years, which is actually helpful. It saves me substantial amounts of time. So I love the new technology. I love the people. I love meeting the students and helping the students out. And it's just a really fun profession. When could you read a treaty from 1825 and it could be relevant today? So it's it's living history. You don't just read it and it happened 400 years ago. We're still using all this stuff to decide disputes today. So it's a lot of fun. And I've met so many interesting people, like as surveyors, as attorneys, as property owners, just fascinating disputes. So it's really fun. What I hate about the profession, I wish that people would make choices based on logic as opposed to like, we've always done it this way, so we might as well keep doing it. Like I was reading a Rhode Island statute and it was about how you couldn't use a carriage to like adversely possess like a road. And I was like, first of all, I don't know who's writing carriages these days, like Ichabod Crane or something. I don't know, but I wish that the profession and the administrators who regulate these boards would be a little more forward thinking and, practical. Why do we have 50 exams? Why did I have to fly to Providence, Rhode Island? Why? There's a testing center an hour from my house. They couldn't put this exam at the Pearson View Testing Center, and I could just go there to take the exam. And I've been to so many places just for a day, hop on an airplane, take an exam, come back. Was that really the best use of my time? And I was sitting in Rhode Island having my McDonald's in the morning, and I said, never again. Like, I'm done with state specific exams. Like I can pay someone any amount of money to do this, and I'm sure they would do it. I'm not doing this anymore. It's stupid. It's a waste of time to travel across the country for a 2-hour exam. So can we do this a little smarter?
That's a great question.
It is one of them. I would say, not like I am an expert at all professions, but the surveying profession does contain more of the most stubborn individuals that I've met. It just seems like the stuck in their ways thing, which I know is kind of part of the deal. You got to do it the same way every time. It's got to be repeatable. That's part of what's involved, but not to the point that it's a detriment. And I think there you guys can point to a lot of cases where being too stubborn was a detriment to the profession.
It happens all the time.
True. Yep.
Yeah. 1,000%.
On the other side of things, you got surveyors who adopt new technology who have no idea what they're doing with it. And then they, I have so many cases with drones right now. People picking the EGM 96 default PIX 4D vertical datum and making a DEM or a DTM or something. Well, doing dirt work in Texas using this world datum is going to lead to bad results. Let's just put it that way. So, I think we have to do everything, responsibly. On one side, don't adopt new technology for the sake of new technology without getting any training for it. But on the other side, don't do the same thing again and again just because that's how you've done it. So you have to walk a fine line.
Yeah, I think we had Ted Strasmiri on last show. And one of the quotes he had that I loved.
2 or 3 ago.
2 or 3 ago. One of the quotes he said, he's like, just because we can doesn't mean we should. And I'm like, that's freaking genius.
It's true.
That's a good one. So on the drone topic, I'd love to get your opinion on it. There's been a lot of controversy in certain states, about whether or not if you're using a drone to, create a 3D model, whatever, whether or not you should be a licensed surveyor to do something like that. What's your opinion about that?
That's a tough one because I'm involved in quite a few cases right now where you were a licensed surveyor and you signed and stamped this survey map based on drone data, and it was completely bogus. I mean, completely bogus, like 200,000 cubic yards of fill off from the true value. That's like 10,000 dump trucks, I think, something like that. So
it's an order of magnitude difference.
Yeah, it is an order of magnitude. It's a blunder. We'll put it. It's above 3 sigma. So, I've seen lots of surveyors use technology without the proper training and equipment. Like, let me get a 10-year-old drone and go flying and make a DTM. Okay, let's see what's going to happen here. But on the other hand, there's a lot of unlicensed people who also go and buy consumer or entry-level commercial drones. They're like, oh man, I can make a LiDAR model and make like $10,000 in a week or something. And it's like, I would bill $10,000 for like an hour of my time, not a week, first of all. But they're producing these products which are not survey grade accuracy. And people say, well, it's not signed and stamped, so everybody knows that it's not survey grade. Not true. I've had so many attorneys take a draft of a document and think it's a signed and sealed survey and try to use it in court or other things. And it's like, where's the signature? Where's the stamp? So the average consumer does not know the difference between survey grade and not survey grade stuff. So I would say that, responsible regulation of like showing property boundaries, elevations, volumes is important, but it can also go to be where the survey board becomes this draconian, administrator that's punishing everything. And there are some states that do that. And there's got to be some kind of safety for the consumer, but at the same time allow people to do non-surveying photo work at this. And there's no right or wrong answer, but it can't be black and white. Like there's no, this is it and it's illegal. It's got to be responsible, regulations.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great answer. There's no black and white.
No
answer.
There's just no way, because there's so many different cases and uses, and we're finding more and more uses. But essentially, what I would like is maybe not a disclaimer, but just something, because like you said, people just assume, oh, well, I didn't stamp it, so everybody knows. Well, no, everybody doesn't know, but also nobody knows what they're looking at anyway. There should be something that okay, I can't, can say, I checked this data and it's good, or it's something to within a centimeter, or within something that you are confident on based on your checks, and, you open it, you don't see any ground control. Okay, well then that's some sort of disclaimer that says, hey, this is a bunch of data, no ground control, or no, done by a 10-year-old drone without some, I don't know,
done by an 8-year-old.
Some sort of tag,
like metadata.
Something that people know what they're getting.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
The other point is, isn't it the responsibility of the person that is using it to know where it came from? Like you're saying, the surveyors that are using drone data that's completely garbage.
Yep.
That's on them.
It's
not on the drone guy that misrepresented himself as a survey grade. No, that's on the person taking that and doing something with it.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I read an article by the gentleman at Wolpert who helped write the ASPRS standards. And he wrote this article, and I think it was XYHT, about how surveyors don't understand statistics and precision and things like that. But I mean, non-surveyors, like people who buy a drone and go flying, they don't understand a word of, relative positional accuracy and all this stuff. They have absolutely no clue what, they could be certifying to or not certifying to, or accuracy. I mean, they have no clue what RMSE is or any of that stuff. So, it's scary, because you can buy a drone and you can do a lot of crazy work with Pix4D or Drone Deploy or something, and have no basis for its credibility or its accuracy.
Yeah. What are some of the most common reasons you see surveyors get brought into court?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first one is just bad business practices. No contract, not communicating with the clients like they should, not explaining what they do. Like I had a surveyor in Miami, did great work, but the contractor did not understand the stakes he was setting, and they were offset stakes, and they built the building. So, and there could be like building corner, whiskers versus property whiskers, and it's just not really communicating very well with the other parties. Because a construction project has so many subcontractors, it's wild, and they don't know surveying. So you're the expert, but if your information gets miscommunicated, crazy things happen. So, number one, bad business practices. Surveyors are notoriously bad business people. I think I'm a pretty bad business person too. Sometimes made some stupid mistakes. Also, buying technology and not knowing how it works, and then certifying to accuracies or precisions. Like, let's buy a EB SenseFly and go flying. Put my son in charge of it. Well, the son picks the wrong vertical datum, and now we got, $3 million of dirt that got moved when it never should have, or, crazy stuff. Definitely, technology is a struggle when it's an established surveying firm using new technology. Like I pay the manufacturer or the dealer to train me and my people. Like we will get a course taught by the dealer. We will have them give us a certificate of completion. Like we know how this stuff works and we're learning every day, but we've made the effort to get the training before we ever use a new piece of technology. And I have proof we got the training.
Have you seen that be beneficial in litigation?
Absolutely. I have a surveyor who's being sued, and they ask him how he got trained in his new drone, and he said his son took the LinkedIn course.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Wow.
I was like, well, crap. You went to the LinkedIn remote course. Like, you're good. Like, let's just close the talk out. It's over.
Jeez.
And,
Unreal.
people using, like, their GPS equipment, like Wild Ways, like doing localizations on, like, crazy points, and then have, like, a 5-foot horizontal offset to everything. Like, they shift everything 5 feet. I was like, this is weird. Like, what in the world is going on? And you check the localization, it's like on the wrong point. And so like they have, they measured the same rebar 3 times, but one's over here, one's over here, one's over here. Well, if they just would have looked at their 3 Trimble Business Center data sets, like, why is my rebar moving every time I go do a survey? This is weird. Like, what is happening here? This is interesting. So, technology and poor business practices would probably be the top 2 I can think of.
And like on the same note, what are a couple of the biggest mistakes surveyors make when they get brought into court?
I've had some surveyors try to represent themselves either in court or in front of the state board. And if you ever get in a civil lawsuit or a criminal, allegation or a board complaint, whether it's true or not, whether it's completely unfounded, go find an attorney. Like, just go get an attorney day one.
Yep.
I had a surveyor call and said, well, I've got this, I have to answer this complaint for this lawsuit and it's due in like 3 days. And I was like, oh, good luck, with that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that the surveyor should definitely, carry a good amount of liability, insurance for sure. Because I've seen so many good surveyors get sued, for nothing. They did a good job. They're still getting sued. So doing a good job is not a defense until you get to court. So if you're in any kind of legal issue, get an attorney.
Yes, very good. Great advice.
What about on that same topic? Because you're mentioning the property boundaries and property disputes. What are some of the what's the most common reason, or what do you? I mean, I know there's all kinds of different, but what do you see the most when there's a dispute on property boundaries? I always love those stories.
So, I mean, it really could be anything. I mean, it could be a boundary dispute, could be riparian, could be construction defect. I mean, it really, who knows what the issue is going to be. It seems like, construction is always a heavily litigated topic because there are so many subcontractors who could screw something up, and then the surveyor could be blamed for it. But also, the surveyor is the first one in and the last one out to every construction project. So they are heavily responsible for everything that goes on there positionally. So it really varies. And really fun thing about my practice is, over the years, we've kind of transitioned from like private disputes to more like state disputes, federal disputes, large companies or large, conglomerates. So the scope and the complexity has increased as the years have gone on. So it's much more interesting and diverse.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, last time I worked for a company that did a lot of construction staking, first of all, communication is huge on the job site. And documentation is huge. Obviously, it's still a really good practice to take field notes. And what was the other one? And it's almost gotten to the point, there's so much CYA because everybody's pointing fingers when something goes wrong. And it's almost gotten to the point you almost have to take a picture of every stake and lat that you set just so that you have a record of it. Because lots of times those things get moved or they get misinterpreted. It gets moved from this point to that point. Oh, I thought that was for this. I mean, it's a dangerous business.
I got the, here's a picture and there's a stake on the ground. ground over there. So clearly you guys set this point. Yeah. I'm like, we didn't do any of the, like, I don't know how that got there, but it wasn't us. Yeah. Like, no, there's a stake on the ground. So there you go. That stake obviously was in the spot that we, you left it there, and that's where we built it, and it's your fault. Like, I mean, you just took a picture of a piece of wood on the ground. Like, give me a break.
Like they say, crap rolls downhill, and more times than not, fingers are pointed at the surveyor, unfortunately.
But like Tony said, when you're the first in and you're the last out,
there's a lot of responsibility.
You're catching a lot of it, and there is a lot of CYA, but it's also for a reason.
Yep.
Because you have to, not only because you have to, but we're the record keepers. Like we're the guys that actually write the stuff down. Everyone else comes and just blows and goes and does whatever they want. It always comes back to, okay, who's taking notes here? And it's usually the surveyor that's like, oh yeah, I actually have that point. I have that stake point. I can tell you where that went. And I do actually have a picture.
Yep.
Have y'all heard of Trimble Vision?
I have.
Yeah.
It from what I understand, it's when you take a shot, a measurement, it will take a picture. Is that right?
That's what we've heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I want to get that. I want to buy that.
It looks amazing. Yeah. I mean, Trimble is doing some really great stuff right now.
Well, we'll be there in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll hear all about it.
Yeah. Yes,
find me a discount when you go. Find a dealer to give me a good
we
price.
Got you covered, Tony. We got you covered.
I've had so many different cases where, like, the surveyor said he set an iron rod at the offset of the bridge caisson, whatever. But did he really? Like, what size iron rod? Where was it? All these questions. And I told him, like, you spent $2 million to fight this. I wish they would have spent $20,000 and had the Trimble Vision where it would take a picture of where, every time you took a measurement, we could see the rod, we could see the measurement, we could see everything, So yes, I agree that I wish that it was more interactive, not just a, written pencil mark in a field book.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. We covered a lot of really good stuff here. Tony, is there anything that we haven't asked you about that you want to make sure you get out there?
I don't think so. I just want to tell everyone, all the students, thank you for buying our courses, and let them know we're always updating. We have a lot of cool updates. The PS course is getting updated hopefully in December. I'm taking some time off to do the course update. Going to release a new Texas RPLS course in the short term. And I guess lastly, if anyone knows a survey technician and or a professional surveyor looking for a new position, let me know, because we're looking for a PLS and SIT, some technicians. We have so many crazy projects right now, and I'm trying to build another team of like a surveyor and maybe 1 or 2 technicians to join us. So if you want to learn more in a year than you probably will in like 10 years working for your local land surveying company, it is remote mostly. So, it could be anybody across the country. Look us up on ZipRecruiter or contact us at cnettleman.net. But we're looking for people who can solve problems, people who have fun surveying, want to use new technology, want to learn the crazy disputes, Indian lands to islands to everything. So we're really trying to find some new hires. So if anybody wants a very challenging position, you should get in contact with us. You will not be the same person. How that changes, I can't guarantee you, but you won't be the same person.
Yeah, that is an amazing opportunity, right?
It really is for everyone not working for Alta.
Yeah. If I wasn't happy, I would be reaching out to Tony.
Yes, that sounds great for everybody except myself and my staff.
I even consider buying a business, like buying an established like small surveying firm.
Yeah, that's the way to go.
Thing is, these small firms, their record keeping is so bad. They're like, what's your business worth? $1.2 million.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Tell me why.
Well, I got this GPS unit that I bought 15 years ago.
I got a 10-year-old GPS. I have a truck. I have a field crew.
We have that with 200,000 miles on it.
I only had to borrow $80,000 last year to stay in business. And I was like, well, if that's the case, then let's
I got all of these records that are priceless.
I've got plaid cabinets already.
Yeah, it's wild. We found our local surveying records at the dump. The surveyor died, and his kids just took him to the dump. And thank God the other local surveyor was there dumping his trash and like saw the file
Holy
cabinet.
cow.
Wow, that's wild.
Not even a phone call, no courtesy, just like took it and just like threw it in the dump.
Wow. Great save. Great save for sure.
Great. All right. Well, if that's not anything else, Tony, you know the drill. Question we ask everybody at the end of the show. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
Do I have a mantra that I live by? Yes. It's learn something new every day, like no matter how small. Like, I learned what is an Indian summer? It's a certain degree of temperature 3 times in a, I was like, I've heard of Indian summer my entire life. I had no idea what it meant. And the guy at the hot dog stand gave me the definition, believe it or not. So I was like, this guy's a genius.
Oh, the hot
Learn
dog
something
stand
new
guy.
every day, no matter how
Love
small.
Love that.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tony. Thank you for taking the time to be joining us again. Really enjoyed the conversation and look forward to doing it again, hopefully sooner than the next 2 years.
Absolutely.
Next year. We'll see.
Next year for sure. It's going to be an
12
annual
months. How about
thing.
that?
Right.
No question. All right. Adding value and making friends. That's what we do here at the Geoholics.
Check that box.
Indeed. If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, shoot us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. We're actually booking into January. I just looked at the calendar.
2025?
2025. Yes.
That's wild.
Zach Top Cold Beer and Country Music
Zach
available
Top.
everywhere. Until next time, everyone, a few takeaways. Just doing a good job is not a defense. When in doubt, get an attorney. Learn something new every day. Be sure to check out nlcprep.com. And most importantly, be safe and healthy. Go and vote.
All I need to keep me from losing it is good cold beer and country music. All I need to keep me from losing it is good cold beer
And country music.